Have you ever wondered why, even though you have faith, you still feel vulnerable? Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, praying, believing, thinking positively, yet things just don't seem to move forward? Maybe without realizing it, you're walking unprotected through a battlefield of invisible forces. And it's not just about external attacks, it's about your own thoughts, fears, and doubts that silently weaken your journey. What you're about to discover might truly surprise you. There is a spiritual armor that separates those who live by faith from those who simply claim to believe. And this protection goes far beyond beautiful words or random positive thoughts. It requires discipline, action, and a shield that many have heard of, but few truly know how to use: Psalm 91. Yes, this ancient biblical passage is more than just a prayer for hard times. It's a practical, powerful tool for those who want to live a successful life with purpose, spiritual protection, and a victorious mindset. Napoleon Hill, author of the classic Think and Grow Rich, taught that success begins in the mind. He believed that faith, when combined with disciplined action, has the power to shape your destiny. Now imagine combining that philosophy with the spiritual power of Psalm 91. You'd have in your hands a true code of protection to face the world with courage and wisdom. And that, my friend, is no exaggeration. It's exactly what separates those who win from those who only wish to. How many times have you felt on the verge of something great, only to be held back by fear, distractions, or circumstances beyond your control? Maybe it's because, despite your faith, you haven't yet activated your spiritual shield. Maybe what's missing is the invisible force that holds you steady when everything around you starts to collapse. Stay with me until the end, because this might be the missing piece that changes everything. In this video, we'll explore how Psalm 91, this powerful manual of spiritual armor, can become the foundation of your personal transformation, and more fascinating still, how it aligns with the principles taught by Napoleon Hill on applied faith, daily action, and a positive mental attitude. Because the truth is, success without protection is luck, but success with purpose, faith, and a shield is a solid and lasting achievement. Have you been there? Believing, trying, and still feeling like something's missing? Then maybe it's time to activate the power that's already within your reach, but that you haven't yet learned to use properly. Because protecting your mind, your purpose, and your energy is the first step to any real breakthrough. And this is where our journey begins. Because protecting your mind, your purpose, and your energy is the very first step toward any true achievement. And while you reflect on that, let me ask you something. What touched you the most so far? Have you ever experienced a moment where, even though you believed, something still made you feel exposed or vulnerable? Share your story in the comments. I read every message carefully because it's through these exchanges that we build a real community of transformation where faith and discipline walk side by side. And if this content is resonating with you, if it's stirring something inside your heart, go ahead and hit that like button right now. That simple action helps a lot, not just to spread this video to more people, but it also tells YouTube that this kind of message needs to be heard. And there are so many people who need to hear this. And of course, if you want to continue this journey with me, learning how to use your faith as a force for action and transformation, subscribe to the channel now. Click that button and turn on the notification bell, because every week we're going to dive even deeper into this path toward purpose-driven prosperity. Your presence here is what helps this channel grow and reach more souls with this message. We are a chain, and the stronger that chain becomes, the farther we can go together. And now, let's dive into how to apply this spiritual protection in your daily life, starting today. Most people read Psalm 91 as if it were just a beautiful prayer full of comforting words for hard times. But those who take the time to truly understand what lies behind this sacred text discover something far more powerful, a hidden truth that can completely transform your journey. This isn't just spiritual comfort. It's a real map for emotional, mental, and even physical protection for those who have chosen to win, not merely survive. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. Psalm 91:7. Have you ever stopped to consider the weight of that promise? This isn't just biblical poetry. It's a declaration of authority over fear, over doubt, over the instability that so many face every single day. And if that sounds like an exaggeration, maybe it's because you're still reading this psalm with the eyes of someone who needs comfort, instead of with the mindset of someone born to conquer. Napoleon Hill, when speaking about applied faith, said, "Faith is the element, the chemical, which, when mixed with prayer, gives direct communication with infinite intelligence." And Psalm 91 is exactly that, faith in motion. It's an invisible shield that only activates when you understand your role in the equation. Yes, protection comes, but it comes to those who walk, who act, who choose to trust even in the midst of chaos. It's not enough to recite, it must become part of your identity. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Psalm 91:2. What most people don't realize is that this psalm is an invitation to transformation. It doesn't speak to the passive, it speaks to the bold, to those who understand that living under spiritual protection is a conscious choice, one sustained by discipline and mindset. The very same discipline Napoleon Hill emphasized in his writings, because if you're just hoping life will improve without changing a single habit, you're leaving your shield on the ground. Every verse in Psalm 91 is like an activation code. It speaks of deliverance, divine protection, and heavenly covering, but also of posture, decision, and surrender. Because you have made the Lord your refuge, the Most High your dwelling place, no harm will overtake you. Psalm 2 says, 91:9-10. Do you see it? It's not automatic. It's for those who choose this path with clarity, faith, and consistency. It's not just about believing. It's about dwelling in that spiritual frequency, that vibration of trust that attracts not only protection, but direction. Now I want to go even deeper, because once we begin to understand the impact of these promises, everything shifts. Our decisions change, our focus changes, even the way we respond to challenges transforms. Psalm 91 is not an emergency prayer. It's daily armor for those who have decided to live with purpose, not just by impulse. Drop a comment below. I'm on this journey too. I want to know who's putting on this shield with me. It's interesting how so many people still associate faith with something distant or passive, almost like a vague hope that things will somehow get better one day. But Napoleon Hill saw faith in a completely different light. To him, faith was mental fuel, an active state of certainty that turns intentions into results. And when you connect that vision to the spiritual depth of Psalm 91, something powerful begins to emerge. True faith isn't just about believing, it's about moving based on that belief. It's about making decisions with conviction, even when logic says otherwise. Hill once said that desire is the starting point of all achievement, but without faith, that desire loses its power. Now think about what Psalm 91 declares. Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91:1. That rest isn't about being idle, it's about active trust. It means knowing that as you do your part with discipline and a focused mind, there's a spiritual force guarding every step of your journey. It doesn't take away your responsibility. If anything, it deepens your commitment to your purpose. And there's more. Napoleon Hill emphasized the power of autosuggestion, repeating daily affirmations that shape your subconscious mind. And what are the verses of Psalm 91, if not powerful spiritual affirmations of protection, strength, and guidance. When you declare, "1,000 may fall at your side, but it will not come near you," you're programming your mind for emotional invincibility. You're affirming that no external force can overpower someone who walks in faith and takes action. This goes far beyond religion. It's about mental structure, about identity. It's the difference between living by reaction or living by intention. This hidden truth, that faith isn't a feeling but a system, changes everything. It reveals that there is, in fact, a practical spirituality that can be applied behind the scenes of your daily routine, in the quiet decisions, in the unseen choices. And that's where the real impact happens. When faith moves out of the realm of words and becomes mindset, it starts shaping every action, every thought, every result. That's when you stop doubting your path and start trusting the process. Now I want to go even deeper, because if faith is this active force, then the next step is learning how to align it with discipline, the other pillar Napoleon Hill so strongly advocated. Without discipline, even the strongest faith gets lost in the chaos of procrastination and doubt. And it's precisely in this intersection between spirituality and action that true transformation begins. Drop a comment below. This makes sense to me. I want to feel who's really waking up to this new way of seeing faith. Many people still don't realize that the real battle doesn't start on the outside. It starts within, in the mind. That's where invisible dialogues are formed, dialogues that shape every choice, every impulse, every reaction. And that's exactly why positive mindset is so much more than a motivational phrase. It's a system of protection, an invisible shield against fear, discouragement, and emotional chaos. Napoleon Hill made this clear. You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. But how can you do that without mastering your own thoughts? Psalm 91 offers a powerful spiritual key. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Psalm 91:5. This verse speaks of protection against unexpected attacks, but also against the sabotaging thoughts that arise when no one's watching. The arrow of fear, the poison of doubt, the weight of insecurity, all of it starts in the mind. That's why developing a positive mindset isn't a luxury. It's a strategic necessity for those who want to win. There's a hidden truth few people recognize. Success begins with the kind of conversation you have with yourself when you're alone. If your mind is programmed for failure, for scarcity, for fear, then faith alone won't carry you. It dissolves in negative thinking. But when faith is joined with a strong, resilient, positive mindset, it becomes armor. It becomes decisive action. It leads to braver choices, to inner peace, even in the middle of chaos. Napoleon Hill taught the power of autosuggestion to reprogram the mind, explaining that the subconscious accepts any thought that is fed with emotion and repetition. Now imagine the impact of combining that with the promises of Psalm 91, not recited as wishful thinking, but declared as truth already being lived. When you say, "He will cover me with his feathers, and under his wings I will find refuge," Psalm 91:4, you are literally activating your inner shield. And this shield doesn't just protect, it strengthens your stance in life. This mindset shift doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with a decision. The decision to stop feeding fear. The decision to care for your mind the same way you care for your body every single day. Because at the core, everything you manifest on the outside begins first on the inside. Transformation begins quietly in the backstage of the mind and then echoes outward in the form of actions, choices, and victories. Now I want to go even deeper into this, because if the mind is the battlefield, then we need to learn how to use discipline to build thoughts that align with faith day after day until it becomes second nature, a part of who you are. Drop a comment. Mindset is my shield. I want to know who's already started building that inner field of protection. There's a silent trap that causes many to give up halfway. The belief that having faith alone is enough to fix everything. Of course, believing is essential, but faith without discipline is like a candle without a flame. It may exist, but it doesn't light anything. Napoleon Hill was clear when he said, "Faith is the starting point of all achievement," but he also made it clear that without action, faith gets lost. What no one tells you is that spiritual success, just like financial, emotional, or personal success, requires consistency. And consistency requires discipline. It's discipline that turns intention into routine, and routine into results. Spiritual discipline is one of the most overlooked pillars by those seeking transformation. It's the backstage no one sees, yet it supports everything. Psalm 91 speaks of protection and refuge. Because you have made the Lord your refuge, the Most High your dwelling. Psalm 91:9. Notice the verb made. That requires a decision. It requires a stance. You choose to dwell in that place of trust. It's not automatic. You have to build that refuge every single day through small actions that reinforce your faith. It's no use passionately reciting Psalm 91 one day and then going 6 days without feeding your mind and spirit. That's why Hill emphasized the power of daily mental routines. He called it auto-conditioning your mind to think positively. When this repetition meets spiritual practices like prayer, meditation, or reading scripture, something powerful happens. You begin to align your inner world with what you want to manifest outwardly. That's spiritual. Discipline, it's you taking charge of your frequency, your energy, your direction. Many people fail because they wait to feel motivated. But discipline begins where motivation ends. It's the bridge between now and your destiny. And it's also the truest test of faith. Staying focused when everything is going well is easy. The challenge is continuing when nothing seems to be working. Psalm 91 doesn't promise a life without problems. It promises deliverance. He will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. Psalm 91:3. But to be delivered, you have to be on the path. And to stay on the path, you must walk with consistency. The hidden truth is that miracles are the result of faith sustained by discipline. They are invisible constructions that only become visible to those who don't quit halfway through the journey. That's why cultivating spiritual discipline is an act of courage. It's you declaring to the universe, to God, and to yourself, "I will keep going. Even when I don't feel it, even when I don't see it, I will stand firm." Now I want to go even deeper into this, because there's a special key that brings faith, mindset, and discipline together into one single movement. And that key is the structure you create daily. Drop a comment. Discipline is faith in action. I want to know who's already unlocked this code. There's an uncomfortable truth that most people don't want to face. Faith without structure becomes illusion. You can have the noblest dreams, say all the prayers, visualize the life you want every single day, but without consistent action, it all fades away. Napoleon Hill made this very clear when he said that action is the true measure of faith, because it's easy to believe in the invisible for a few days. The real challenge is holding on to that belief when the results haven't shown up yet, when doubts come knocking and real life demands answers. Psalm 91 is not a promise for those who merely wish. It's a covenant for those who endure. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. Psalm 91:8. That means there's a reward for those who stay strong, even when everything around them seems to be falling apart. But that strength doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's built brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. That's what separates people who live with purpose from those who live by impulse. Hill also emphasized the importance of defining exactly what you want, and that's where discipline comes in. It's the bridge between desire and fulfillment. There is no growth without routine. There are no miracles without preparation. Real transformation happens behind the scenes, in the moment you wake up and choose to keep going, even without motivation. In the moment you choose to pray, even when you don't feel anything. When you mentally repeat a verse like, "1,000 may fall at your side, but it will not come near you." Psalm 91:7, and truly believe it. That is faith in action. That is spiritual discipline in motion. The problem is, most people give up before the harvest. And it's not because they've lost faith, it's because they never learned how to keep the soil fertile. And the fertile soil is routine. It's a mind aligned with the Word. It's the awareness that the unseen is already moving, even when your eyes can't see it. That's why spiritual success, and even material success, is reserved for those who cultivate. And cultivation requires method, patience, repetition. This is where the journey stops being emotional and becomes strategic. It's not enough to feel faith. You have to live it. It's not enough to know the verses. You have to dwell in them. That's why Psalm 91 isn't just about protection. It's a call to maturity, an invitation to stop surviving and start living with intention, with protection, and in alignment with your true purpose. Now, I want to go even deeper into this because there's a point where discipline becomes identity, and that's when everything begins to flow with more clarity, ease, and truth. Drop a comment. Discipline protects me. I want to know who's ready to move from theory into real, intentional living. There comes a point in the journey where faith alone isn't enough, and neither is discipline by itself. It's when you realize that you're walking, acting, believing, but still lacking direction. And that's where the third pillar of this invisible and powerful formula comes in: purpose. Napoleon Hill wrote, "The starting point of all achievement is definite desire." He wasn't talking about vague wishes. He meant a clear goal, a why that guides your actions with conviction. When purpose, faith, and action align, you become almost unstoppable, spiritually protected and emotionally shielded. Now imagine combining that with the wisdom of Psalm 91. Read it again from a new perspective. Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High. This isn't someone who visits that place of faith occasionally. It's someone who chooses to remain there. That dwelling is sustained through routine, disciplined action, but also through clarity. Clarity about what you want to build, what you want to protect, and the impact you want to create. This combination, faith, action, and purpose, creates what I call a conscious spiritual shield. It's no longer protection you passively wait to fall from the sky. It's something you activate daily with intention. When you wake up, read Psalm 91 as a declaration of identity. Write or visualize your goal with clarity and take one small concrete step toward it. You're not just existing, you're positioning yourself. And those who position themselves in this frequency attract doors, resources, connections, and revelations that once felt out of reach. This spiritual shield protects you from more than you think. It's not just about keeping external harm away. It's about preventing self-sabotage from within. Confusing thoughts, distractions, emotional impulses. These all lose their grip when you know exactly where you're going and why you're going there. The Psalm says, "I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him." Psalm 91:15. That speaks of continuous support, but also of the daily construction of an inner environment aligned with your purpose. This is the hidden truth no one talks about. Spiritual protection isn't just a state of faith. It's a lifestyle. And lifestyle is built through small, intentional decisions made every single day. You don't need a complicated plan. You need clarity about your purpose, commitment to one daily action, and unshakable faith to sustain the process. That's when things truly begin to align. Now I want to go even deeper into this, because there's a key detail in this formula that can accelerate everything, and it has to do with the power of speaking out loud what you want to live. Drop a comment. Faith, action, and purpose. This is my foundation. I want to know who's locking in this code with full awareness. Most people read Psalm 91 as a charm for times of crisis, but what almost no one realizes is that it can become a powerful tool for visualization and strengthening your confidence. Not just as a scattered prayer, but as a conscious ritual, a mindset exercise that repositions your energy every single day. Napoleon Hill taught that whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But that belief needs to be nurtured, repeated, and fed with clear images and deep emotions. And Psalm 91 has the perfect structure for that. Imagine starting your day by reciting each verse not as a request, but as a declaration. He will deliver me from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. Psalm 91:3. Instead of just reading, you visualize. You see yourself being guided, protected, moving forward with confidence even through unknown territory. This practice, when repeated with presence and intention, shifts the way you show up in life. You're not just asking for protection, you're activating your identity as someone who is already guarded, guided, and ready to act. This is one of the greatest revelations behind the psalm. It's not about fear, it's about power. About stepping into an inner position of security so strong that nothing external can shake you. When you start to visualize it this way, the results are not only spiritual, they're emotional, mental, and yes, even material. Because confidence changes decisions, and decisions shape destiny. Napoleon Hill understood this when he said that faith, when mixed with emotion, becomes one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Now imagine the impact of combining emotionalized faith with clear mental images of who you are becoming, guided by this divine shield. Creating this daily ritual is simple, but it requires presence. It's not about mindless repetition. It's about taking a few minutes, breathing deeply, aligning your posture, reciting the psalm as if declaring a non-negotiable truth and letting the words paint images in your mind. Images of doors opening, obstacles dissolving, the right people appearing, opportunities flowing. All of that begins within, and what happens within echoes outside. This kind of practice turns Psalm 91 into something far greater than a memorized prayer. It becomes an anchor, a daily code that connects you to the highest source and also to the deepest part of yourself. True security is born from this combination, spiritual presence and clarity of purpose. And when those two forces meet, there's no way you won't move forward with confidence. Now I want to go even deeper into this, because there's one silent, yet incredibly powerful element that activates this process even more, the emotion you place behind each word. Drop a comment. I activate my shield every day. I want to see who's ready to live Psalm 91 as a daily habit, not just an emergency fallback. I remember a time in my life when everything felt stuck. On the outside, I said I believed, that I trusted God, that I was holding on to faith, but on the inside, the truth was different. Fear, anxiety, and a constant sense that nothing was ever going to move forward. And the strangest part was, I was doing all the right things. I prayed, I read Bible verses, I repeated positive affirmations, but I was missing something essential, something Napoleon Hill made very clear in his words. Faith must be accompanied by action, or it is nothing but wishful thinking. That's when it hit me. I believed, but I wasn't moving with discipline. I was waiting to feel confident before taking action, when the real secret was to act in order to build confidence. That was the moment Psalm 91 stopped being a memorized passage and became a living practice. I decided that every day, without fail, I would read that psalm out loud, but in a different way. Not just as a prayer, but as a personal call to action. Every verse was read as if it had been written for me in that exact moment. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him, I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. Psalm 91:14. And with that, a silent transformation began. It didn't happen overnight. There was no magic, but something inside me started to grow stronger. What once felt like paralysis began to shift into direction. And the most curious thing? The doors that had been shut began to open one by one. What once felt impossible began to feel within reach. The right people showed up. Unexpected opportunities appeared, but not by luck. It was the reflection of an internal change that had finally become consistent. That was my turning point. And today, as I talk to people who have gone through similar journeys, I see the same pattern. Each of them reached a breaking point where faith had to move out of the realm of words and into the structure of daily habits. People who hit rock bottom emotionally, financially, spiritually, and rebuilt day by day a new reality. It wasn't a perfect journey. There were setbacks, doubts, moments of weakness, but spiritual discipline combined with a clear purpose and active faith was what kept them on the path. And the path responded. The hidden truth is that miracles aren't isolated events. They are ripe fruit from invisible seeds planted every single day. Napoleon Hill would call this applied persistence, and Psalm 91 is the soil where that seed takes root. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because what makes this transformation sustainable in the long run is what comes after. The choice to keep going, even when the excitement fades. Drop a comment. My journey is real too. I want to know who saw themselves in these words. It was right after experiencing that personal turning point that I realized something. True transformation happens when we stop waiting for big events and start committing to small, consistent actions. Napoleon Hill spoke firmly about this. Success is built through repeated actions, not fleeting intentions. And that made me think, what if you decided, starting now, to apply this spiritual truth in a practical way, with a simple yet powerful plan, something that takes your faith out of theory and brings it straight into action. This is where a challenge comes in, but not the kind that overwhelms, the kind that awakens. For the next 7 days, I want to invite you to do something that, if done with sincerity and presence, can redefine your confidence, your clarity, and your connection to what you believe. The challenge is simple. Each morning, as soon as you wake up, read Psalm 91 out loud, not as a robotic repetition, but as a personal declaration. Each verse should be lived, felt, absorbed as part of who you're becoming. And after that, choose one small, intentional action that brings you closer to your goal. It could be sending that message, completing a task, making that phone call, or simply stepping out of the waiting mode. Why does this work? Because you're activating the tripod we've already talked about: faith, action, and purpose. You begin the day by realigning your mind with protection and trust. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. Psalm 91:4. And then you turn that energy into movement. That's where mindset shifts. That's where the spiritual becomes structure. No matter what your goal is, professional, emotional, or spiritual, the impact comes when you back your intention with daily movement, and more importantly, with emotional consistency, even on the days when nothing seems to happen. It's not about perfection, it's about decision, because those who decide take action, and those who act build. And when you commit to this ritual, even for just 7 days, you're sending a clear message to the universe and to yourself that you're ready to live aligned, protected, and guided. What once felt stuck starts to move. What once felt far away begins to draw near, and the faith that once was just hope now becomes an active presence. Now I want to go even deeper into this, because more than just completing a challenge, there's a way to turn this ritual into a true anchor of stability in the midst of chaos. Drop a comment. I accept the shield challenge. I want to know who's ready to put this into motion with courage and intention. If there's one thing this journey has taught me, it's that living spiritually protected is not about hiding from life. It's about facing it with awareness, strength, and alignment. Faith is not an escape, it's a stance. It's an inner state that says, even if I can't see the whole path yet, I trust enough to take the next step. And it's that step that transforms your reality. Napoleon Hill was always clear, decisive action is the bridge between thought and achievement, and this was never just about money or external success, it's about who you become in the process. When lived with intention, Psalm 91 becomes a covenant, not just of protection, but of commitment. I will be with him in trouble, I will deliver him and honor him. Psalm 91:15. Look at the power in that verse. It doesn't say trouble won't come. It says that in the trouble there will be presence, there will be deliverance, there will be honor. But for that to happen, you have to be there on the field, present, active. And that's why this moment calls for more than reflection. It calls for a choice, a deep and non-negotiable decision. Are you going to act in faith, or keep waiting for something to change for you? Maybe today you're standing right at that turning point. You know what you need to do, but you're still stuck in old thoughts, fears disguised as caution, doubts that sound rational but are really resistance. And it's okay to acknowledge that. What matters most right now isn't pretending to have certainty, it's committing. Because when you choose to act in faith, even without all the answers, the path begins to open, not because everything changed on the outside, but because something realigned within. This is the kind of decision that transforms, that closes old cycles and opens new paths, that breaks patterns and activates a new rhythm. And it doesn't have to be dramatic or grand. It just has to be true. It starts with a phrase, a choice, a single move, because sometimes all God is waiting for is that first sign from you, that smallest opening, so he can make the rest happen. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because this commitment is not just symbolic. It can and should be sealed with a clear gesture, even a simple one, so that your mind and your spirit know the decision has been made. Type it in the comments. I will act in faith. Because sometimes one phrase spoken with truth has more power than 1,000 plans sitting in a drawer. If you've made it this far, it's because something in this message spoke deeply to your heart. And I want to thank you for staying with me until the end of this journey. This is why this channel exists, to go deeper, reflect honestly, and most of all, to act every day with more purpose and awareness. If this content made sense to you, brought you clarity, strength, or even the challenge you needed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because that's what we do here. We bring hidden things to light, and we turn words into practice, faith into structure. And if you want to show me that you stayed with me to the very last second, leave a comment. I'm with you until the end. I want to know who was really present. Oh, and of course, hit the like button, not just for the video, but for what we built together here. That gesture strengthens our connection and helps this message reach others who need it too. There's a video right here that complements everything we talked about today. Click on it and keep walking with me, because this journey is just getting started.